525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, what a weekend it was. Boy, congratulations to the USC women. It's always special when somebody in our state delivers to the people of South Carolina a national championship. It's really nothing quite like it. We had the Clemson soccer team earlier this year win a national championship. I think this is probably a higher profile championship, being women's college basketball, and the fact that it was South Carolina and Connecticut, Gino and Dawn Staley going at it. And South Carolina, what an incredible season, leading from wire to wire, leading yesterday from wire to wire, and proved without a shadow of a doubt they are the best team in the country, best program in the country going right now. And there's no reason to think, barring major turnarounds related to injuries, departures, things like that, that the winning won't continue in a big way for the South Carolina women. They were outstanding in the Final Four, and they bring home their second national championship under Dawn Staley. So quite the season and quite the performance by the USC women. We got plenty to talk about on that. We'll drop in some comments from Dawn Staley, but primarily open up the phone lines and hear what you have to say about that. A chance for Gamecock fans to crow about another national championship. You put that right up there with the previous basketball national championship for the women and the two baseball championships and the women's track and field championship from a little while ago. And am I forgetting anything, Chris? Have I missed a Gamecock? Well, I said the women's. I said women's track and field. I said that. Yep. Said that.
Did you?
I did. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I don't remember you saying that, but that's all right.
Yeah. Yes. That was, I said after the two baseballs, I said the women's track and field.
All right. Fair enough.
I guess there's the bowling championship from the Gubby Troop era.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's recognized by the NCAA.
No, I don't think it was. But it's always fun to say the Gamecocks won a bowling national championship back in the day. So what'd you think of the women's performance?
They were outstanding. And they dominated that ball game, and the 16 points that they won by, probably about where they should have won. They could have easily won that game by 20-25. I've not seen a Connecticut team handled and manhandled quite the way South Carolina did last night. That game was over when Gino Auriemma called a timeout early in the first half when it was 11-2, and he commented on it at the end of the first quarter. He was asked about what can you do to change the way things are going. And he said, I told our team after going into the Stanford game that we have to rebound or we're going to lose. And I told my team, if we don't start rebounding, we're going to get blown out. And think about the two ball games that South Carolina beat down Connecticut this year. They collected almost 100 rebounds, Phil, in the win in the Bahamas and then the win last night. I mean, they were so dominant on the glass. And, you know, you look at where Connecticut's program is, and it's still, I think, the standard of women's basketball.
Do you really think so? I mean, do you not think South Carolina has passed?
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I think that is that image and that persona is starting to crack a little bit because Dawn Staley, to her credit, has figured out where you have to win in women's basketball. And it's so much different than the men because the ladies, if you look at South Carolina and where they built their program and built that what is now a budding dynasty, it's along the baseline moving backwards out to the perimeter, as opposed to now where the men's game is played. It's out on the perimeter, and then if you can go inside, great. I mean, you have guys, and we'll see Manick tonight from North Carolina, one of their tallest players. He would much prefer to stand out 25 feet and shoot three-pointers than he would play in the post. And I think that's going to cost North Carolina tonight, and I'm sure we'll get into the men's championship a little bit later on. But South Carolina has figured out if you can dominate in the post, and they certainly have, and if you can dominate defensively, and Destiny Henderson, she was not named the most outstanding player of the Final Four, and I can make a really strong argument that she should have been over Aaliyah Boston. But, I mean, that's apples to apples there. I mean, one or the other. But Destiny Henderson was the difference in the ball game. She scored offense. She finished with a career-high 26 points last night, and she also shut down Paige Beckers. Defensively, she was as good as she was offensively, and South Carolina's ability to get on the backboards and just dominate up front, that was never a contest. Every time Connecticut made a run at South Carolina, they had the answer. They would close it to 7. South Carolina pushed it back out to 13. They would close it to 6. The Gamecocks would push it back out to 16. And I thought Pat brought up a great point last night on our group text. He said it was almost like the Gamecocks were playing with their dinner, because that's exactly what they were. Every time Connecticut when you get back in the ball game and you thought, okay, maybe they're going to make this a competitive game, the Gamecocks were like, all right, fine, it's time for us to play. And they would dominate the next couple of minutes. And that was from start to finish, much like the entire season was from start to finish, the coronation of just an outstanding team. And South Carolina was by far the better program. And I don't know that you could have said that 5 or 6 years ago about anyone versus Connecticut. But the talent that the Gamecocks have compiled, and this is a budding dynasty, because I don't think we're going to see this go away anytime soon. And you want to talk about passing the torch? I think the Gamecocks grabbed the torch and ran away with it last night. And they're going to be number 1 in the preseason next year. And I would not be surprised if we're sitting here next year at this exact same time talking about their back-to-back national championships.
Man, I think that Dawn Staley will schedule similarly next year like she did this year. She prepared her team for the NCAA tournament and for the Final Four, knowing that there's not great depth in women's college basketball yet, not at the upper level. But prepare your team as best as possible so when you get to the tournament, you've already done all your hard lifting, your hard work, and you're ready for anything that can come at you. And I mean, they handled their semifinal game with relative ease, and then they handled things with relative ease. They just jumped on Connecticut last night and really took Connecticut out of the game in the first quarter. You mentioned they did make a couple of runs, and I guess there was a point there when you thought this thing might be getting away from them. But every time Connecticut would make a run, the Gamecocks would have an answer. All right, we're going to take your calls. I know Gamecock fans want to crow about this, and that's all well and good. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number. A couple of other major notes of the day. Clemson freshman receiver Adam Randall suffers a torn ACL in practice. Yeah, torn ACL in practice last week. However, you know Clemson's history with springtime ACLs. They do a great job of getting their players rehabbed if the player puts the work into it. And I would not rule him out for coming back first part of the season. You know, what is it now? It's the 1st of April. So you got April, May, June, July, August, 5 months, really then September, 6 full months of rehab that we saw it happen with Amari Rogers. He got hurt in the spring. I think it was the spring. Was it the spring game he got hurt in?
Spring game, absolutely it was.
And he was back playing by mid to late September of that season, I believe. So it can be done. It depends on. It's obvious that Clemson has the medical know-how, the knowledge on how to bring these folks back quickly. I guess a lot depends on the individual. And then checking on G.G. Jackson today, talking to Coach Eric Stoneman over at Ridgeview, he shared with us that the Jackson is going to stay in the 23 class, and everybody's kind of waiting on decision. Looks like still a dead period runs through April 7th, and he won't make a decision until, or announce a decision until sometime after that. It does not appear. Sometime within a week or so. Remember, last week he told us it'd be a couple of weeks. So now looks like it'll be a week or so. And they're looking at having some sort of announcement ceremony, a formal announcement ceremony type thing over at Ridgeview High School at this point when they decide what they're going to do. And same schools are still in it. Of course, coaches can't meet with him right now because of the dead period. He still hasn't had the meeting for his mom and Lamont Paris, the new USC head coach. Of course, he and his dad met with Paris early last week, a week ago, as a matter of fact. So a couple of major stories there I want to share right off the top of the program. Tiger practiced today at Augusta. Still no official word from him if he's going to play. That could go right up until sometime, Thursday morning, I guess even. He could not even just show up for a tee time or something if he doesn't feel like he can go. I'd have to say right now with, of course, we're not there. We're not watching him in person, but I would have to think if he's going through all this, he's doing all this. If he doesn't wake up in the morning feeling rotten, he's going through all this with full intent on playing on Thursday, I would think. Did you see John Rahm today on, I think it was 16, where they do the little skipping contest?
Sure.
Did you see what he did?
You get a hole-in-one?
Yes. It was incredible. I mean, the ball skipped across the water, rolled up on the green, caught a little ridge, found a little funnel, and just rolled into the hole. It was amazing. I mean, it was just, to hit it just like that with that kind of speed and direction, pretty incredible.
Should do that during the tournaments.
I know, really. Save it for when you need it. And let's see what else we got. We got Major League Baseball season opening up this week. South Carolina, North Carolina, scheduled for tomorrow night in Charlotte, been pushed back to Wednesday in Charlotte because of the expectation of rain. Clemson, Georgia is still on right now for tomorrow night at Doug Kingsmore. And, boy, those two teams, South Carolina and Clemson, struggled over the weekend. Both had chances. Both lose their series. What did you point out to me? You pointed out something to me this afternoon about Gamecocks and series.
Well, it's actually Clemson. They have lost 6 consecutive ACC series. If you go back to the tail end of last year, their last ACC series win was the Louisville matchup at home back the tail end of April on into the 1st of May. They've almost gone an entire year now without a win in the ACC in terms of series victories, not, that win 1 and lose 2, but in terms of the series, that's just remarkable that Clemson, as good as they started, boy, they have totally fallen apart, and they can't not get Caden Grice going. And they had enough runs yesterday to win that ball game and give up a couple in the late innings and lose that ball game. And South Carolina's struggles are pretty well documented, Phil. It's not the starting pitching on the weekends in particular. It's their bullpen. Their bullpen has been a mess, an absolute mess, and it's translated over to the fact they can't win games during the midweek either because they don't have enough healthy arms.
You're right. And you know what? It's not going to get much easier as South Carolina plays a very good Georgia team in Columbia this weekend. The number 3 USC women's golf team defeated North Carolina 4-1 today to win the Wolfpack match play. That's the 5th win of the season. That's a single-season program record for wins. They got a great shot to win the national championship. I mean, they've been good for a lot of years. This could be their year because they're winning a lot of regular season tournaments against some good competition. We'll get to your phone calls right after the break.
The countdown is on, and Columbia Fireflies baseball is right around the corner. Join us at Cyber Park for Fireflies opening night Friday, April 8th at 7:05 p.m. as the Fireflies battle in-state rival and Atlanta Braves affiliate, the Augusta Green Jackets. Make sure to stick around after the game for Fireworks Spectacular. Fireflies opening weekend continues Saturday, April 9th with our Royal Celebration and another post-game fireworks show. Bring the whole family for Sunday Funday where kids can run the bases after the game. Tickets start at just $5. Visit FirefliesTickets.com to get your tickets today.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Losses, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dream. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to FutureScholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. FutureScholar.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, hunting is very popular across the state of South Carolina. Major Downer, what things should our hunters be thinking about before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. Whether it's turkey season or deer season, hunters always need to be aware of their target. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know you're identifying features for your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Phone number on Sports Talk, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky line into Sports Talk. Did you know that since 2002, more than $829 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund lottery tuition assistance for students attending technical colleges in South Carolina? Learn more about the lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education, but it's fun to win. I'll tell you that. It's fun to win. So buy those tickets and have fun with it. Spend $1 or $2 here or there, and maybe you'll get lucky one day and have that just that right ticket for you. All right. I'm going to get to your phone calls here on Sports Talk. Also got to check out the bracket challenge and see, has our guy clinched? Have you looked, Chris? Do we have the clinching win already?
I have not checked. I know we do have several folks who picked Kansas to win the national championship, and I wish, after watching them play on Saturday, I wish I'd paid a little bit closer attention to them in the Big 12 tournament, because I think they beat North Carolina by double digits tonight. I'll go ahead and call my shot.
Well,
I don't know that North Carolina can match what turned out to be one of the greatest semifinal performances that we have ever seen. What a great game that was Saturday night, and it made up for the dud that was the opening game in the national semis, when Kansas just totally dominated, much like South Carolina did last night. But what Kansas did to Villanova, I just don't know that Baycott and Manick can handle what they're going to get from Abaji and also McCormick on the inside from Kansas.
Well, I want to thank North Carolina and Duke for delivering.
No doubt.
I mean,
that was a great game.
Delivering, and it was fantastic. It was one of the great basketball games that I've ever watched, and from tip off to the last second, and because of the drama also of Coach K coaching his last game, and everything surrounding that. Let's see, Phil, Rom skipped that one in on 16 in 2020.
Yeah, back in November. I saw that tweet earlier from Craig, and I went back and checked, and he actually did that in November.
That happened.
It was evidently not today.
Okay.
The par 3 tournament that they have is on Wednesday, but evidently that was from a couple of years back.
Okay.
But nonetheless, it's still a remarkable feat.
Yeah, I thought it was today because it popped up. They were showing some of the highlights. PGA Tour was streaming some of the highlights from that over there today, and they threw that in there. I was not aware that it happened back in 2020. So thank you for that, Craig. All right, to the phones we go, 888-898-2525. Hank in Columbia. Not surprised at all that Hank is leading us off tonight. Hank, did you enjoy your trip to Minnesota?
Yes, I did, Corn. Just got back in.
Oh, you sound hoarse. You sound hoarse.
Well, hey, with all the fans that were there, you had to get your cheering in.
Yeah, and I guess it was cold.
Yeah, it was cold. That wasn't. Yeah, it was, it was cold, but I tell you what, it was a ton of Carolina fans up there at that game.
What would you estimate the crowd to be from South Carolina?
I don't know if it was like about a little bit over 18,000 at the games. I would say about probably at least out of the 18,000, I'd say about 6,000-7,000 were Carolina fans.
Fantastic.
Actually from actually Columbia. And then you had a number of fans who were there who were just big Dawn Staley fans. Mm-hmm. So they kind of joined in.
That's great. That's great turnout.
They joined in. She's got a big following. So there were a number of people who were members of other schools who were walking in saying they were cheering for South Carolina because they really love Dawn Staley and what she does for women's basketball.
Well, I saw today where President Obama tweeted out congratulations. Deion Sanders sent a tweet of congratulations. I mean, a bunch of the big national celebrities, political types, athletic types, acknowledging South Carolina's championship largely because of who their head coach is.
Well, yeah, particularly, I don't know if you listen to the clips. She's the first African-American male or female to win national championships.
Yes.
In the NCAA history.
Yes.
And so, of course, what she stands for and all that was great. And I think they really, the girls are being up there all weekend, they really wanted to play UConn because the first time they won the national championship, we had all this
Hank, we're going to have to put you on hold, man. We hate to do this to you. We got a real bad cell going with you there. You're dropping it out, and we'll come back to you, see if you can get yourself to higher ground, but you're just kind of getting where we couldn't understand you. Plus, your voice is very hoarse from all that screaming.
I can't blame you, though. In terms of the two teams they could have faced, I think the Connecticut matchup was a lot better for South Carolina, and it proved last night. I remember Bruce called us last Thursday and predicted that Connecticut would beat Stanford, and I was stunned because Stanford was a much better team overall. They just didn't have the best player. And so you take Connecticut and put them on the floor with South Carolina where they could put Destiny Henderson on Paige Beckers, and it was a mismatch from the get-go. So the fact that Stanford did not beat Connecticut in the semifinals, I think helped the Gamecocks out a little bit. I don't know that it would have mattered, Phil, in the long term, but I think matching up with Connecticut was a lot better matchup. I would have never said this 6 years ago, but that was a lot better matchup for South Carolina than Stanford would have been.
Is Hank back with us? All right, Hank, are you there? Hank, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here, Corn.
Much better. Yeah, go ahead. Much better.
Yeah, and so I think they wanted them because, you always would hear, I think the girls over the weekend, when we would see them, you'd always hear this, but UConn, and I really think that, if they were going to solidify that, they were the elite program, you had to take out the more iconic program over the last so many years. And Carolina just it was not only that they played and you played a great game and beat them. People had talked about them. They talked about all year long. People talking about them about would their offense and would their offense be enough? And that Carolina, the last 46 games, Carolina has held their opponents under their offensive average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've really turned it up defensively. I mean, they really started making their name more on the defensive side, especially when they got into tournament play. I mean, what they did, even though they were playing a 16 seed, I mean, what they did to, was it Howard in their first game? I mean, that was just, they got Division I players on scholarships too, to hold them to that and then follow that up with holding Miami to 33 points. And people started really noticing how dug in they were defensively, and they never let up. But Henderson yesterday, I don't think, you're an avid follower. I mean, we know she's a really good player. She may have made herself a lot of money yesterday as she moves on to the next level. I guess she's going to get a shot at the next level. But
she's projected as a first-round draft pick. I think the first point guard come off the board right now.
So I'm saying I think she probably helped herself a lot, but I don't know if anybody saw that kind of offensive performance coming. You get that kind of offensive performance with what you get from the bigs, you can't beat that. And and Chris pointed out how badly they beat them on the board. So,
well, Corn, that was the thing. Remember we talked some weeks ago. I said, the Carolina guards don't need to go out and try to be Steph Curry like and all that other stuff because of the balance. And Gino spoke about it yesterday after the game. He was like, you got teams where you got a guard out there trying to shoot like crazy, or you got a team out there where the only thing they can do is go down low. And he was like, the hardest thing about playing Carolina, he's like, they were so balanced. He said they're so balanced on offense that at the beginning of the game, if they decided they were going to put 4 or 5 people around Boston, the guards were like, okay, we'll just shoot you out of that. Mm-hmm. He said then when they had to go out and try to get the guards, he said their bigs just overwhelmed them inside. So he said championship teams and really good teams, he said, to have that type of balance. And they had it offensively and defensively, because anytime that UConn made a little run, it was like Carolina was like, oh, well, okay, well, then we'll do this. We'll push this right back out to 15-20.
Well, listen, we got to let you go. Gave you a lot of time there because you deserve it as a longtime fan voice of the USC women's basketball team. I know it was a great time for you and a great day today with the celebration they had over the CLA and the USC flag flying above the State House and all the accolades and all that. In fact, I think they might have even gotten a commitment because Dawn Staley put out a tweet about a little birdie flying into the nest. That's usually her indication of a commitment from somebody. So things continue to go well. Thank you, Hank. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
Appreciate you. All right. There you go.
Where else are you going to commit right now if you're a women's basketball top 5 type recruit? Where are you going to go?
Oh, yeah. You mean as far as which school you're going to go to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. They've already got 2 standouts already committed and signed for this class. So I don't know who this one is. I haven't seen any name pop up yet. I'm assuming that's what she meant with that tweet. That's been her signature commitment tweet. Her welcome home, her spurs up. It's a little birdie has flown into the nest, which is a cute way of putting it, I think. We will continue with your phone calls and drop in a little Dawn Staley coming up too.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clouds will roll in and we'll have a low temp dipping to 55. Tomorrow, a threat of some nasty storm activity in the afternoon. Heavy rain and gusty wind possible at a high of 77. We stay cloudy into Wednesday and we'll warm up all the way to 82. A cold front rolls in starting on Thursday as we cool down the rest of the work week. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
When I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, my buddies and I would do anything for each other. That's important whether you're in a firefight or fighting to regain your life. When I came home injured, there are people I can count on, like DAV.
DAV, Disabled American Veterans, stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
The thing about me taking it is I am super healthy to begin with. I don't have any medical problems whatsoever. But I can tell you what I did notice was my hair, my skin, and my nails. They're even better. That is definitely noticeable. But I think the main thing I could say for it, and the reason I keep taking it, is because it keeps me healthy. I mean, I'm sold on it and I'll always take it because it just keeps me in a healthy state.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code BALANCE.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to shooterschoicesc.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at shooterschoicesc.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
A first impression for potential customers can mean everything in business. Hi, Fran Halloran here. Have you thought about taking a trip to Columbia Flag and Sign for a flagpole to proudly display Old Glory in front of your business? Think about how that first impression would impact your customers and then your business. Columbia Flag and Sign has flagpoles for you from 10 feet to 200 feet high. This might actually be the perfect time to show some American patriotism as well. Not from online or a big box store, but from a local company here for 38 years and with flagpoles made here in the good old USA. Columbia Flag and Sign can install it for you, and they offer service on existing flagpoles. They have every flag imaginable, from patriotic to Carolina, Clemson, and so much more. Support local and support American made. Visit Columbia Flag and Sign at 633 Meeting Street in West Columbia or online at columbiaflag.com. That's 633 Meeting Street in West Columbia or online at columbiaflag.com and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Well, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
Monday after edition of Sports Talk. Monday after the Gamecocks win a national championship, a natty for the USC women, number 2 under Dawn Staley. Got to put another statue out there. Aja Wilson's statue is lonely. Got to put an Aaliyah Boston up there after they win a national championship. She's National Player of the Year. And, I mean, what other criteria did they use for Aja Wilson? Be the number 1 pick in the draft as well? Boston's not eligible for the draft this year. She's got to come back to Carolina for another year. I would think that this time next year, the WNBA would pick her whenever the draft is. They would pick her number 1. So criteria has been set, and and they've set the precedent has been set. So why wouldn't you follow through with another?
Well, I think the one thing that made Aja Wilson a little bit different than Aaliyah Boston is she's a homegrown product out of Columbia. So that was nice. But I think you're probably right. They ultimately will put a statue up there, and I think we're headed quickly towards playing games on Dawn Staley Court at Colonial Life Arena. I don't know if it'll be after this, before this upcoming season, but it will be soon.
You know what? It's probably time, too, because, look, she's 51. She's been coaching at South Carolina now.
Hey, I'm 51, and I've accomplished nothing quite like what she has.
Well, and you're not getting a court named after you, unless it's your back court in your backyard. All right, you can go paint. You can go down to the hardware store, get you a can of paint, shake it up, and spray your name on your court. But, I mean, she's 51. She's been at South Carolina going on, 12 years or so. And why not, like they did with Coach K? Of course, he was a little bit longer down the road, but still, they let him enjoy that while he was still coaching on a court with his own name. So you're right. I think you hit that on something there that will be coming sooner than you probably would think. I would think. All right, let's get back to your phone calls. 888-898-2525 as we go to Stephen in Lexington. Stephen, good to have you with us on Sports Talk. How are you tonight?
Good, Phil. It's good to hear Hank finally get rewarded as a Gamecock apologist for decades and decades, and latching on to the women's program and riding that success. I'm glad to see that he's getting rewarded because all the other programs sure hadn't helped him. But
now listen, this is not the day to rain on the Gamecocks parade. You can do that tomorrow.
I know. Oh, I'm very happy for him. I just had 2 questions. One, was it true, the rumors that they stayed in the locker room for the national anthem?
For the semifinal game, South Carolina stayed in the locker room for the national anthem for no other reason than it was their normal pregame protocol. Has nothing to do with any kind of a protest or anything like that. As a matter of fact, to what my understanding is, there was no, unlike last year when they did have an announced public protests, they had no such thing this year. In fact, they were on the court for a game at the Bridgestone Arena. I saw a picture that somebody tweeted on our Twitter. They were on the court prior to a SEC tournament game there. They were on the court last night prior to the game.
Yep, both they and UConn. So also, if I'm not mistaken, UConn stayed in the locker room during the semifinals with Stanford.
So what you had here, unfortunately, was a young writer, a Duke grad, as a matter of fact, who normally writes for a business journal, a business outlet, and was assigned the women's basketball Final Four by her bosses, I guess. And she noticed this, and not knowing a whole lot about it, asked a couple of questions of some people. And I don't know what questions she asked. She relied on an old story that had been written and some old quotes from Dawn Staley about their protest of last year, and tried to apply that to this year, but not knowing enough of the facts. And she said, so in her mind, the fact that they did not come out for the national anthem in the semifinals, and the fact that they sat last year as a show of a protest last year, she tried to put 2 and 2 together and deduced that it was continuing this year, and that's what they were doing. And she made the wrong conclusion. Okay,
that's good. I mean, anybody that's not blessed to live in this country and after everybody that's died and fought for their freedoms. It's ludicrous to me. Try and live in some other country. Give me a break. But anyways, that all having been said, so I was joking about, the transtestical, this movement with the, administration and with Disney and all of this. When are they going to get some of these 6'5" male or chicks with Adam's apples to start playing basketball at the collegiate level and taking scholarships? And seriously.
Did you come up with that yourself? Chicks with Adam's apples? Adam apples?
Yeah.
Adam's apples.
Yeah. So when's the first coach going to take 2 or 3 of those chicks with Adam's apples and start dominating the women's game? And the administration's all for it, and Disney and everybody else promoting it. Adidas has commercials for it. So who's gonna shut that down?
Well, you're right. It's bound to happen, isn't it? It's bound to happen. It's like it's how do you legally? It's like NIL now. It's like once the Supreme Court made its ruling about what it ruled on related to college athletics, it just opened up the corral for NIL, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize what a mistake that has become in some ways, because it's not controllable right now. And so now you've got this going on, and if the law says this is the way it is, then that will be the way it is, and how you can't say no to it. And so you will have eventually, I'm sure, folks who were previously identified as men playing in women's sports because they now identify as a woman, and they've done whatever they have to do legally to be identified as a woman, but they still will carry a lot of the athletic characteristics of a man.
Right. And didn't a woman just win the swimming or what I call a chick with Adam's apple? Didn't he just win the swimming national championship or something?
I don't think he won. I read the story. He finished in the top 16. He qualified in the top 16, which is what you have to qualify in to be an All-American and to continue in the competition. And it became a bigger story when the woman, the true woman swimmer who would have made the top 16 ended up 17th. And she's like, what am I supposed to do? I'm competing against somebody who was a man who's now a woman, and I lose my spot in the top 16 because of it. What are you going to do?
Well, if I was a women's basketball coach, I would be focusing on finding those transtestical people wherever they're at, and getting them on the basketball team. If that's the way the rule's going to be. It's ridiculous as it is. It's sad that women are gonna, that this is going on, but that's your administration, and that's, today's society.
Well, what are women? What are women who campaign for women's rights, justifiably so? What are they going to do when women lose positions to people who didn't start out or aren't women and became men, or they were men and became women or something like that? What are they going to do?
Phil, I think the only reason this even gets to be a story and the smallest level is because it was women's swimming and diving. It's not going to happen, as our caller brought up. I don't think it'll ever happen at basketball or softball or some of the top female sports. I just can't imagine that you're going to have a Leah Thomas type scenario going up against South Carolina's Aaliyah Boston on the front lines. It's just not going to happen.
Did you ever think you'd see a college athlete make over $1 million a year while playing college sports?
No, you're right. You're right.
Things are moving at warp speed in all kind of different directions that nobody can control. If they want to control it, they can't control it. So I'm not going to be surprised if I think Stephen might be exactly right. Of course, he's kind of making some political hay with it there, but I'm not going to be surprised if one day, some 6'4", 210-pound, high-jumping former male is starting center for a women's basketball team on the collegiate level, or maybe even in the WNBA. I mean,
well, see, and here's the problem, and it won't stop until a team or the NCAA stands up and says this is not right.
But listen,
and if this happened in the NCAA in the tournaments, the only way it would stop is if South Carolina is facing, let's say, Connecticut took Leah Thomas and put him on their team, for lack of a better term. South Carolina should have walked off the floor and say, "Look, we're not playing." And until somebody stands up and says this is not right.
Listen,
born as a male, you compete as a male. Born as a woman, you compete as a woman.
The world's greatest athlete of the late 1990s is now a woman.
But he competed as a man.
He did. But I'm just saying, he's now a woman.
And had Bruce Jenner tried to run a decathlon as a female, hopefully somebody would have stood up and said, this is not right.
Well, if the law says they can do it, you're going to have a hard time stopping.
I don't know where the law says they can do this. I'd like to find out where the law actually says that
what's the law that's allowing? What's the law that's allowing? Is it Thomas Leah Thomas? Yeah. What's the law that's allowing her to compete with the girls?
There's no law. The NCAA has stepped forward and just allowed this to happen. There's no federal law that says if you are born a male and you declare yourself as a woman, that you should be allowed to compete as a woman. I don't think there's a law anywhere. As a matter of fact, the state of Florida has just passed a law to prevent that kind of stuff from happening. I don't know that this is a law across the country that you can have people who declare as a born a man and want to declare as a woman, or vice versa, that they can compete in the other sports. I don't think the only people that can legislate that kind of stuff, I would think, is the NCAA. And for whatever reason, the NCAA does not see that as a problem. It's a major problem. It's an absolutely major problem, and they need to stop it.
Couldn't agree more. And just to correct one minor mistake, Leah Thomas, she did win the national championship. She, whatever you would like to, whatever your preference, did win the 500-meter or 500-yard national championship in the freestyle, but then finished, I believe, not within medal shot for the other competitions. Now, this past weekend, this happened over in England. A biologically male cyclist who now identifies as female was initially accepted into this competition, but then a number of the women participants, biologically born women participants, refused to compete. And they then reversed the decision and barred this person from competing in the women's championship race. And that was this past weekend. It's called the British National Omnium Championship, and it was on Saturday. This is Emily Bridges, who was formerly born as Zach Bridges, and had actually set a lot of records, set a national juniors record of the 25-mile race back in 2018, but then transitioned to female, but has now been barred. So like you said, until people start doing that and revolting against it, nothing's going to change.
All right, phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. We'll continue with your phone calls coming up. Also, a few comments from Dawn Staley coming up. And we got recruiting coming your way. Of course, the Gamecocks got an important commitment over the weekend from Corey Rutker, the transfer wide receiver from Arkansas State. Huge pickup for the Gamecocks. They look loaded now at wide receiver with what they've got coming back and the two transfers coming in. They look really, really good. Back in a moment.
Sports fans, are you in it to win it? Join South Carolina's fight against COVID-19 by getting your vaccine today. Vaccines are safe and will help stabilize school operations by bringing us back together safely. The CDC recommends everyone 5 years and older get vaccinated. Visit scdhec.gov/VaxLocator or call 866-365-8110 to find a vaccination station near you.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career, just like Kristen. Your passion is our purpose.
All right, Dawn Staley, after the win last night over Connecticut, she and the players met with the media, of course, took a bunch of questions from the media. Here is, we're going to let you hear the question going into the answer so you get the full context of the question and the answer. So obviously they were in a celebratory mood after the ball game, and questions kind of leading into, her thoughts about celebrating this championship like the way they celebrated the previous one.
Dawn, in 2017, I believe you had the story about Carolyn Peck and the net that you carried around. What is there anything like that for this year? And what are you going to do to celebrate this championship going forward?
I got my 2017 piece of the net that I had in my pocket while coaching. I actually had it at the start of our NCAA tournament in the first and second round. I just had it in a mesh bag hanging off of my backpack, and I just, chose today to bring it out and just to have with me throughout the game. I just think just moving forward, like the net's going to represent something in our game, something that will advance our game. I've been thinking some of our black male coaches, they don't get opportunity. Okay, and I'm also I'm gonna take it a little bit step further. Some of our black journalists don't get opportunity to elevate. So we're gonna try to cut this net up, give them a piece of it, and just hope that it will be something that they can utilize to advance and
thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Senate Judiciary Committee deadlocks on Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Chair Durbin, the votes are 11 yeas, 11 nays.
With every Republican on the committee voting against, the Senate Judiciary Committee deadlocked 11-11 Monday on whether to send Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court nomination to the Senate floor. Despite the tie vote, Jackson is still on track to be confirmed by the full Senate this week. On the Senate floor, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
I move to discharge the Judiciary Committee from further consideration of Ketanji Brown Jackson of the District of Columbia to be an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States.
With that, a new vote will be held tonight to discharge Jackson's nomination from the committee. Further procedural steps will follow in the coming days. Mike Gracia, Washington.
President Biden says Russia's Vladimir Putin is a war criminal after reported atrocities in Ukraine.
The president says what's happened in Bucha, Ukraine is outrageous, and the world is a witness to the war crimes. He was asked about stepping up the pressure on Russia.
Yes, I'm going to continue to add sanctions.
And the president says the U.S. and its allies must continue providing Ukraine with the necessary weapons to fight.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky called the Russian actions genocide and called for the West to apply tougher sanctions against Russia. Mr. Biden, however, stopped short of calling the actions genocide. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the United States had warned that Russia would seek to imprison or kill dissidents or others it viewed as threats to its attempted occupation of Ukraine. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 103 points, the Nasdaq rose 271, the S&P 500 advanced 36. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
The credit card debt happened when my daughter was born. I was using one credit card account to roll over into another credit card account, and it was snowballing.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
When I first called Trinity, the representative understood the need based on the situation. They were great people to work with. From the first phone call that I made, they had me on a track to mitigate the credit card debt.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
Working with Trinity gave me the ability to save thousands of dollars. My name's Doug, and thanks to Trinity, I'm debt-free for keeps.
Call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
Since the pandemic started, experts have warned of a mental health crisis facing America's children. More from correspondent Rita Foley.
It's playing out now at schools where childhood depression, anxiety, panic attacks, fights, and thoughts of suicide are at alarming levels. This is according to interviews with teachers and mental health experts. One coach in Northern California who trains teachers in mental health awareness says, "I have never seen kids be so mean to each other in my life." Red flags include when a child talks about dying or suicide, but can be more nuanced, like, "I can't do this anymore," or "I'm tired of this." An expert says ask the student about that and let them know you want to help. I'm Rita Foley.
Albert Pujols will be in the starting lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals against the Pittsburgh Pirates when he begins his final big league season Thursday in what should be an emotional return to Busch Stadium. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clouds will roll in and we'll have a low temp dipping to 55. Tomorrow, a threat of some nasty storm activity in the afternoon. Heavy rain and gusty wind possible at a high of 77. We stay cloudy until Wednesday and we'll warm up all the way to 82. A cold front rolls in starting on Thursday as we cool down the rest of the work week. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now.
No, number one.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Let's continue with your phone calls here on this Sunday at Sports Talk. Dropping in and out. 888-898-2525. There you go. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. A couple of quick notes to pass along. Our Sports Talk Monday Night Notebook brought to you by Founders Federal. The Founders Federal Notebook right now with mortgage notes still pretty low at 3.22%. So we told you South Carolina, North Carolina postponed until Wednesday, game at 7 o'clock in Charlotte. Who's got the best baseball RPI in the state this week? I'll tell you. The Wofford
Not
Terriers.
one of the big threes. I was going to say it's not one of the big three.
Well, Coastal's 39. Wofford's 35. Gamecocks are 54. Clemson 76. Upstate's 136. Charleston's 181. PC 212. Winthrop 220. Citadel 227. And Charleston Southern 241. Former Gamecock assistant coach Brian Steele, who worked for Frank Martin at USC, former Gamecock player, going to work for Frank Martin at UMass. So he's going up there to Massachusetts. Told you Clemson coach Dabo Swinney announced that receiver Adam Randall suffered a knee injury in practice Friday. Will have surgery to repair a torn ACL later this week. Leah Boston continued her dominance of the individual awards with her selection as the Wooden Award winner. She's won every Player of the Year award here in the postseason. USC women's golf team ranked number 3 defeated North Carolina 4-1 championship match of the Wolfpack match play today. That is their 5th win of the season. That is impressive. Poll question of the week. Poll question of the week.
Okay, go ahead. Then I want to circle back to Adam Randall, please.
Thank you. Poll question of the week. 2022 Gamecock women, number 1 all season. 2018 Clemson football team was 15-0. 2016 Coastal baseball team won 55 games, 21 in the Big South. 2011 USC baseball team won 55 games, 22 in the SEC, undefeated in postseason, which was the best championship season in South Carolina history because all those won championships. 170 votes in today. 38.8% vote for the Gamecock baseball team, 2011. 28, make that 30% vote for the Clemson 2018 football team. 28.2% the USC women of today. 2.9% for the Coastal Carolina baseball team. So you need to get on your keyboard there, Chris, and catch them up a little bit.
Well, first off, we figured out that the Clemson the Clemson football team in 2018 did not start the year number 1, correct? That was Alabama, and then Clemson went wire to wire.
Probably so. I haven't looked, but I can go back while you're talking.
Well, if that's the case, how in the world the Gamecock women's team that went wire to wire, number 1, is not the best championship season in in our state's history? I'll never understand. Because if Clemson, which is right behind the USC baseball team, which I don't think went wire to wire, even though they probably should have because they were coming off a national championship, I don't understand how you would not vote the USC women as the best the best season in state history. The other question that I'm really curious about the Adam Randall injury. They were just coming off a scrimmage last Wednesday. Are they back in pads? Did he get hurt? I've read some different things. I haven't heard how he injured that knee. Was it during the scrimmage on Wednesday, and the news was just coming out?
Story said Friday. Story said he got hurt Friday in practice.
So I mean, what are they doing in practice? Anybody can get hurt any time. I'm not criticizing what Clemson does in practice. I'm just curious as to what happened coming out of the scrimmage on Wednesday that may have caused him to injure himself.
Well, I mean, again, he got hurt in practice on Friday. You can tear an ACL, just running a route.
Right. Yeah,
a lot of times just against nobody, and foot gets caught in the grass and it happens. So no other details, just he's going to have surgery this week. All right, back to the phones we go, 888-898-2525. Got recruiting for you as well. Coming up, more from Dawn Staley as we go to James in Latson up next. Welcome in, James. How are you?
Hey, good. How you guys doing?
Good, good.
So, I hate to go back to what you guys were talking about earlier about the transgender thing. I deal with this on a year basis. My son wrestles, and we go to tournaments, and there are females that wrestle in the tournament. And he'll come to me, and he's had to wrestle 2 girls, and he comes to me, Dad, I don't want to wrestle this girl because he doesn't want to get. It's different when he wrestles a girl because he doesn't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to call him a guy. I hate to be. I'm not going to be politically correct. He's a dude. He won the national title swimming against girls. I read the story. To me, it sounds like a fraternity break. The guy just couldn't cut it against the men, and he says, "You know what? I'm going to find a loophole and swim against girls."
Does a guy? I mean, is he a guy? Is he a complete guy, or does he?
Yeah, he's still he's a complete guy.
I mean, he doesn't identify as a woman. He's a guy who just went and swam.
Well, that's what it sounds like to me. I read the story. If you go and read the story, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And to me, it's terrible for women's sports. And I think the way the world's going, you're going to see it. Probably the NCAA come up with a transgender league.
Okay.
Which I hope it doesn't go that way, but I mean, the way the world's going and everything with how easy it is for a man to slip into a woman's sport these days. That's how I see how it's going to. I think that's how it's going to go eventually. I hate to see it that way, but it's terrible for this guy to jump into a woman's sport. He's a foot taller than most of the women, and he's got a longer stride. Of course, he's going to win.
I agree with you. I mean, this is not good for the women's sports world. I think you're 100% correct. I don't see how it can be good. And I mean, listen, we just keep pushing this envelope this way, and they don't care about the people they hurt. They really don't. They don't care about the people they hurt. They only care about the people that, I don't know, they think they're helping, but I don't know that they're helping, in the long run.
Yeah.
So
exactly. They're not helping anybody. And I think that's why you'll see a transgender league.
Did your son end up wrestling the female wrestler?
Yeah, he did. He wrestled the female wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He beat her, but I'm telling you right now, he felt so bad because we raise our sons especially not to act violence on women. You don't hit a woman. You're raised that way. I was raised that way. I raised my son that way. And then when he drew this girl in a tournament, he's just like, Dad, I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't show the aggression that he would against a normal kid his age, a boy his age. He held back.
Mm-hmm.
And it tore him up. He beat her, but you could tell he was not himself wrestling this girl.
If he had not wrestled, he would have been forced to forfeit, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Phil, I cannot hear all of what James had to say. Did he happen to mention whether or not the girl who had to wrestle against his son, and I understand his son's, caution against participating, was she on a boys' team because there was not a female wrestling team there as well?
We didn't discuss that, but that's the conclusion I would draw.
And if that's the case, I totally understand. And I'm not so sure James' point about, developing a transgender division of the NCAA is not necessarily the worst way to go, because we look at the South Carolina High School League. We also have the South Carolina Independent School Association, which allows the private schools to participate against like-minded type programs across the country, or at least across the state. I don't know how much there would be interest in terms of developing. You may only have like 10 athletes total that will participate in this. This may not be the right way to go, but I would say this though: if you have a female who wants to participate in any sport, baseball, wrestling, I think are probably the two most prominent opportunities. Basketball's another chance, and they don't have a girls' option at whatever school they're in. I don't know how you can prohibit if she is truly a girl and wants to play, but there's not the option that she has on a girls' team. Then I don't see any reason to keep her off the boys' team if she can compete and also make the boys' team. Now Leah Thomas is a different story altogether. That's a man who has established himself and he wants to participate. He's decided he wants to be a woman, so he's swimming with the women. That's not right. But this is a born female who does not have an option as a female to participate in whatever sport she wants to, and she qualifies and makes the boys team. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, but his angle was this is uncomfortable, or it was uncomfortable
I
for
understand.
his son.
No, I totally understand that
It
because
put his son in a position of, I just don't like doing this, but he
I
had
don't
no
want to put
choice.
hands
It
on a
was
woman.
either
No, I get
wrestle
it.
or forfeit. But I
Yeah,
guess
no, I totally
you have
get
to
it.
go in with the mindset of, hey, if she's over there wrestling, then she knows what it's all about, and whatever happens, happens. It's like females who want to play football. I mean, it's got to be tough for a guy to line up across from a woman playing football, and you don't want to hit them real hard. I mean, we've got to understand here that when it comes to these sort of things, there's a difference physically.
Yep.
I mean, there is a difference physically. I mean, from time to time, you're going to run up against a woman who can handle herself physically against a lot of men. I mean, they just happen to be very strong women. They work out, they eat right, and they exercise, and they build themselves up, and they're pretty doggone strong. And they can probably handle themselves. But I'm not sure that's the case across the board. And, athletically speaking, you just can't compare the two right now. Maybe 500 years from now, it'll all be changed, but we won't be here to talk about it, I don't think. Maybe Pat will still be here talking about it. You can handle that in 500 years.
Yeah,
Pat keeps himself in tremendous shape. He'll be around in 500 years.
I hope so. Don't jinx me now. Like ending a no-hitter when you mention it during a game now. Come on, Chris. But okay, something else to mention about Leah Thomas, too. After she did win that national championship, or now I'll say she. After she won the national championship, the fourth place finisher was invited on stage, and the women who finished second and third place took a trophy with the fourth place finisher, almost as their way of doing a kind of quiet, or not really quiet, but a polite protest, while Leah Thomas was off on the side by herself. There were also very audible boos caught on. They were so loud that the television cameras actually cut away so as to not embarrass Leah Thomas. And NCAA guidelines, all national champions are required to speak to the media after. Leah Thomas refused and did not speak with the media after, whereas the second, third, and fourth place finishers spoke instead. Just worth noting.
All right, back to the phones we go. We head to Tom in Sumter, next with us here on Sports Talk. Hello, Tom. Welcome in.
How you doing? I have a lot of thoughts on a couple of things that have been said, but I don't want to go there. I just want to make a quick point on a day where the focus should be on what the women did last night, Pierre. But anyway, I know you're a Yankees guy. I just want to tout my little town of Sumter, South Carolina. We will have 2 Sumter natives in the Yankee rotation on opening day. Jordan Montgomery, who's been there the last few years, and J.P. Sears has been in the Yankees farm system. They just announced a few hours ago. He will also be on the opening day roster. So shout out to the town of Sumter, South Carolina, who has 2 pitchers on the New York Yankees opening day roster.
Wow.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
That's really cool.
All I got to say is throw strikes.
That's really
why,
cool, though.
That's why they're there.
Throw strike. And Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt continues to be very close to making the Yankees rosters. He's been up before, coming back from that bad arm injury at the end of his college career. So he's hanging in there too, the former Gamecock. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's take another phone call, then a little bit more from Dawn Staley. Nope. Okay. Let's go to a little more from Dawn Staley from last night's USC women's basketball coach talking with the media, feeling very good about things, of course, after winning the national championship. And we'll let you hear the question going in. This is about the praise that she is receiving from across the world, around the world, internationally, for the success she's having at South Carolina with this second national championship.
You've spoken on this podium and so many times about, if you can see it and you can be it, and being a role model for black coaches. And tonight, in the wake of this win, so many black women around the sport of women's basketball have praised you for that, for being it, that so many people can see. To hear the praise from so many people around the sport to you, what does that mean to you?
It really makes me emotional. It does, because I am their hope. Like I am their hope. I am the, the person that they strive. Not me, just where I sit winning national championships. That's what they want to do. Um, and if I can be that ray of hope, if I can be um, a vessel of theirs to them being successful, you know, I am a willing giver of this game because the game has given me so much. Like, I mean, so much. Like, my cup runneth over when it comes to what the game has given to me. So I am forever in debt in trying to repay the game. And I do that with, just just giving them my time, my expertise, or just my opinion on things to help, advance young coaches of all colors.
Made a point to say, you wanted people to see Aaliyah's smile, not that crying face from last year. What did it mean to you to see her climb the ladder and cut down the net tonight? And then the second question is, how did you spend your day with a 7 p.m. tip-off? I'm just curious. Shoot around only lasts so long. Did you get your hair done? Did you get your nails done?
um, I'm incredibly happy for Aaliyah because, one, I think a player like Aaliyah doesn't realize her power. I think she's really a nice young lady, and she wants everything to be smooth and smooth sailing. She doesn't want any conflict. She's non-confrontational. And when you are like that, you don't really understand your the power of of being dominant. Like it's such a, you know, probably a masculine um, adjective. Like to be dominant seems masculine, um, but it's not. It is very few athletes are able to be dominant, and when you are one of those athletes, if you don't have somebody around you that recognizes it, they'll allow you to just fly under the radar and blend in with other people who aren't gonna excel at the rate that Aaliyah can excel. So I've been around a lot of great basketball players who have been dominant, and I saw it in her, and I would not allow her to be anything less than that, even if I had to hurt her. And a lot of parents don't want to hurt. They don't want their children to hurt, and it's almost a disservice to them. Like it hurts them. Like you have to put your child in an uncomfortable situation in order for them to grow. And I don't think her parents are that way because they're very disciplined. But from a basketball standpoint, I think I'm the perfect coach for her because I recognize what her gifts are and how to walk into that. And then I couldn't sleep. So I was up. I walked an hour on the treadmill at 6 to 7. Then I packed my clothes up, packed my suitcase up. Um, and then we had shoot around. I actually had some breakfast today. I usually don't eat breakfast, but the eggs here are good. Um, so I had breakfast and then we had shoot around. Then after shoot around, um, we play cards a lot. We play cards. So we played cards for a few hours. Got my hair done, and then it was time for pregame. And then after pregame is just we're getting ready for the game. So it was long. Could we have played this game at 3? Yeah, but I actually liked it. I liked that we were in prime time. You know, one of two of last games of college basketball. So I hope it was watched by a whole lot of people. Um, and I'm just basking in our glory of winning the national championship.
All right, Dawn Staley tells you what's on her mind. She likes the eggs there, so she had eggs for breakfast yesterday morning. And you got to respect that she tells you exactly how she feels about things, and likes being the standard bearer for
She was really
a number
funny
of
in
different
last
issues.
night's. Yeah, she was really funny in last night's post game, and I guess it's easy to be after your team dominated one of the standard bearers of women's basketball. But yeah, she had some funny stuff. I did like the eggs. Says she doesn't normally eat breakfast, but the eggs in Minnesota. Never thought of Minnesota as a place to get really good farm fresh eggs, but evidently that's the case.
What you got?
Chris, to piggyback on what you're saying, speaking of the post game, I was curious if you guys, I wanted to mention this earlier, forgot. I wanted to see if you guys noticed Dawn Staley, Coach Staley went out of her way to thank. The first thing she did was she wanted to thank all the girls at the end of the bench who had not really played much. She mentioned, I think she rattled off 7 names, saying how without you guys, we would not have been able to prepare the way we were able to against a team like UConn. We would not have been as dominant. And although that may seem subtle to most people, think about the fact that they have, 12 McDonald's All-Americans, 11
Big in recruiting, no doubt.
With recruiting moving forward, if you were on the end of that bench, with the transfer portal the way it is now, when you have your head coach thanking you before anything else during her post-game national championship press conference, thanking you, that's going to weigh in the back of their heads and make them want to continue playing instead of maybe transferring. Or if you're another high-caliber player coming out of high school right now, you're going to be willing to go play for Coach Staley, even if that means sitting on the bench for 1 or 2 or even 3 years, almost the way Nick Saban has been able to keep players at Alabama with the level of success that he has. Comments like that from Dawn Staley are going to go a long way. And I thought that was great of her last night.
Yeah, she knows how to handle people, and she knows how to handle the media, and says the right things, and was really good in those settings. They had what looked to be a nice reception this afternoon over at the Colonial Life Arena on the outside, and she brought up Lamont Paris and spoke about him for about a minute and told the crowd, you need to get behind him, need to pack the place for the Gamecock men as well. And so I'm sure he was appreciative of that. But, I mean, she is right now maybe the most popular sports figure in the state of South Carolina right now. It's basketball, end of basketball. Come football season, it'll shift. It could be Shane Beamer.
Though.
It could be Dabo Sweeney again. Tell you right now, it's not the baseball coaches of the two schools, because it's not going well for either one of them right now.
Yeah, Mark Kingston's got to be loving Dawn Staley right now because the focus is not on his team and especially its bullpen. But Phil, I'm not so sure that if Dawn Staley ran for governor tomorrow, if she would not unseat our present governor, because I think even with Dabo Sweeney's success, she may be the most popular sports figure in our state.
Well, I know nationally, and maybe, like I said earlier, internationally, she certainly is. And why shouldn't she be? I mean, she is at the top of her sport, and she is also, of course, the gold-winning coach for Team USA, and was a gold medal winning player, was a great player in college, and has done everything in her career the right way, going back to when she was the coach at Temple and doing some good things there. And, I remember when Eric Hyman hired her and said that she was going to come to South Carolina and build something really, really big for women's basketball. And, of course, there were those of us who just kind of rolled our eyes and said, okay, that's nice.
Who is Dawn Staley? Yeah.
Well, you knew who Dawn Staley was. I mean, if you were in the sports business, you knew because of her legacy as a player, both as an Olympian and as a college player at Virginia. I mean, you knew who she was.
Right.
But who paid attention to Temple women's basketball around here?
Oh, absolutely.
And, boy, Eric Hyman saw something. He saw something in looking at her and talking to her, and then Ray Tanner has followed up, of course, and fought off suitors over the years. Ohio State, a few years into her time at South Carolina, if I remember correctly, Ohio State made a very strong run at her. And I think nearly won her away from South Carolina. But I think she wanted to stay here. Ray Tanner made it very easy for her to stay here, Pat.
The more she wins here, the hotter that seat under Doc Rivers gets in Philadelphia.
That may be the only that may be the only league that can lure her away is the NBA.
By the way, she got a $500,000 bonus for winning the national championship.
That may be the only league that can lure her away from South Carolina, maybe the NBA.
All right, got to hit a break here on Sports Talk. Coming up, we've got recruiting. Also, a visit from State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, who has some things to say about Dawn Staley and her newfound riches with her bonus. And John Casas, play-by-play announcer for the Columbia Fireflies. joining us, partnering with us here on Sports Talk to promote the Fireflies in minor league baseball here in South Carolina. We'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clouds will roll in and we'll have a low temp dipping to 55. Tomorrow, a threat of some nasty storm activity in the afternoon. Heavy rain and gusty wind possible at a high of 77. We stay cloudy until Wednesday and we'll warm up all the way to 82. A cold front rolls in starting on Thursday as we cool down the rest of the work week. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a retired firefighter, and I have been retired for about 6 years. I had a lot of damage done to my body over the course of my employment, and I'm coming up on my first-year anniversary of taking Balance of Nature. And I'm agile and energetic, and the doctors and the physical therapists are amazed. They're like, you don't even need us. I don't think I would be doing half as well as I'm doing if I hadn't had extra nutrition from Balance of Nature to help my body heal itself.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code BALANCE.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
If you're like me, you're sick and tired of seeing these old TV stars, game show hosts, these athletes telling you how to save money on your Medicare and on your health insurance. These national toll-free numbers are overwhelming us. It's not that people don't need the service. They need good local customer service, not big box toll-free numbers. See, I work directly with Tim Hanberry right here at Medicare Blueprint in the Midlands. When it comes to my family, I want the best family plan. I'm not even on Medicare, but my mom is. So here's what I do want. Someone local to serve as my advisor on the plans and choices that I have, and someone to help mom with her Medicare. I want someone to help me pick the right plan, save me as much money as possible by knowing all the rules of the game. Medicare Blueprint starts the process with you. They will see it through. They answer all your questions. They call you back. It's the same folks helping you start to finish. Tim and his team are independent. They fight for you, not the insurance company. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398.
Hi, this is Marsha Klayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for the Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for the Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Hi, Chris Neely here from the South Carolina Public Charter School District. Join me every Tuesday afternoon at 5:30 with Kev as we put our kids first. We'll answer all your questions about charter schools in the Palmetto State. Kids first, every Tuesday afternoon at 5:30 on The Point.
Hi, honey. Were you able to drop by Tree Pharmacy today to pick up Mom's medications?
Yes, she sure is on a lot of meds.
I know. That's why I go over so often, to help make sure she's taking them correctly.
Well, I have great news. The pharmacist at True Pharmacy said he can pre-pack her medications into individual doses.
Wow. Knowing she's taking the right meds at the right time will give me great peace of mind. But how much does it cost?
That's the even better part. It's free.
Just another great service they offer at True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Devine Street downtown.
All right, back on Sports Talk. You know, every once in a while we like to give back to you by telling you about something great going on in the business world, the government world of South Carolina. I had a chance earlier today to visit for a few minutes with our state treasurer, Curtis Loftus, about the 529 savings plan. Here's our conversation.
Curtis, always great having you with us here on Sports Talk. And I tell you what, in the spirit of the day, with South Carolina celebrating a national championship in women's basketball, I think it's a great time for everybody out there to listen closely to what you have to say and go ahead while you're in a great mood and jump into the 529 savings plan.
Isn't that right? Congratulations to the Lady Gamecocks. I wish I was a tenth as happy as Dawn Staley is right now. I mean, can you imagine what that feeling must be like?
Oh, it's got to be great. And of course, she earned a $500,000 bonus, so she can take some of that money and put it away in a 529 plan if she wants to.
That's exactly right. The 529 Plans College Savings Fund is something we're very proud of here in South Carolina. Our brand is FutureScholar.com. FutureScholar.com is Future Scholars is the name of the plan, and it helps you save for college in a tax-deferred environment. Let's beat the tax man 3 different times. So I know sports people don't like the tax man, so this is good. We open an account in just a few minutes at FutureScholar.com. You set that thing up. There's no minimum fees. There's no minimum contribution. It's really set up for working people to be able to contribute when they can. The money is when it's contributed, it's a state tax deduction, and then it grows state and federal tax free. And then at the back end, when you pull it out for your college expenses, whether that's at a tech school, a trade school, community college, or 4-year college, or if it's your law school, it doesn't matter. If it's accredited, it works in another tax-free manner. You pull that money out for room and board, tuition, those types of things, computers, it's tax-free. So you've beaten the tax man on 3 different occasions, and you can use it at any of those accredited schools across the country, and about 600 of them across the world.
Well, that is fantastic. Now, you know as well as I do, sometimes this day and age, it's hard for people to sit down and fill out long forms and take the time to do things. Just how simple is the process?
It is simple. It's simple enough for me to do it. When we renegotiated these big contracts, I said, I got to be able to do it. And I can. In fact, I've got to do 5. I've got nieces and grandnieces and all this stuff, and nephews being born all over the place. I've got to go and set up theirs, because if you open an account now, or if you put money into an account before April 18th, which is tax day, before April 18th, it counts on last year's taxes. So if you realize you made maybe a few dollars more than you thought you were going to make, and you didn't have any means deductions, it's a perfect time to open that grandkid or nephew an account. At FutureScholar.com, it's a quick ride. You'll get it done. And if you have any problems, you can call the help desk, and the help folks are here in America. You can understand them. They're very well trained, and I think you'll find the whole experience helpful.
Are you starting to get a response from people who have put their money in, they've taken the money, they've used it for the purpose of the college education, and they feel good about it?
We have. It's we've been around almost 20 years, I think it is now, and it's a $6 billion program. You know, this is not a small fund that we run out of the corner of the office. It's a $6 billion program. We have 200,000 participants in the plan. We have tens of thousands of people who put their way, like I said, from trade school to law school and med school. It works for all of those. And Phil, I forgot to mention, it also, this is recent, last 2 or 3 years, you can use this money at an accredited private school in South Carolina, K through 12. So if you want your kid to go to a private school, then up to $10,000 a year in tuition can be taken out of these funds. And of course, most private schools in South Carolina aren't nearly that much, but that was the cap they put on for the federal purposes.
That's a great development. I didn't realize that. So once again, for folks who want to take advantage of this, and this is a great time to do it because tax day, as you mentioned, is coming up. That's another advantage of this. How should they get rolling in the process? Where do they need to go?
FutureScholar.com. FutureScholar.com answers your questions. You can fill out that form in a hurry. You can make an investment now, or you can wait. But also ask all your rich relatives to help you out. If you're related to Dawn Staley, now's the time to ask her.
I'm going to ask you, as the state treasurer with tax day coming up, I mean, winning a national championship, should state government give her a tax break?
We give everybody tax breaks. Why not her?
Yeah.
It's amazing. We're real proud of her, and I know that your fans have got to be, even if you're from a different school, a different part of the state. When we win a national championship for South Carolina, that's just always great.
All right, State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, big sports fan that he is, having a little fun there with Dawn Staley and her new riches after winning the national championship. Appreciate the Treasurer being with us, and that 529 plan. Yeah, go ahead and get on it, because you want to be ready when that time comes to put them through college, no question about it. Okay, we welcome back to Sports Talk, something we're going to be doing every Monday night now as we head into the baseball season, as we partner up with the Columbia Fireflies to promote the Columbia Fireflies in minor league baseball across the state of South Carolina. We welcome in the voice of the Fireflies, John Casas, back to Sports Talk. John, how are you? It's good to have you with us.
Hey, I'm doing well, Phil. How are you doing?
We're doing terrific. And I saw today where you guys released your roster for the coming season. So that makes it real. We know that baseball is coming back across the country, MLB, minor league baseball. Fireflies are ready to go.
Yeah, and last night the Lady Gamecocks gave us something to be proud of here in the Midlands. They won that championship. Thursday, the Braves are going to start their quest to go for back-to-back championships. But then Friday, the Columbia Fireflies trying to do something special, a little bit closer to home for the summer for most of the people here in Columbia. And it all starts with this roster, right? We got 15 returners from last year, 7 2021 Royals draftees. We got 4 top 30 prospects, according to MLB.com. So a lot of talent on this roster.
When you talk about returnees, I mean, the guys, this is minor league baseball, and people say, of course, you're really playing for yourself, not so much for the team, because you want to get up to the show. That's the goal. So guys who are coming back, I mean, do you think they're happy to be coming back instead of like maybe moving up in the organization, or are they happy just to have a job in professional baseball?
Well, I think for sure happy to be living the dream and playing a game for a career, right? I think that's for sure part of it. But I think the other thing is that after the pandemic, remember, there were a lot less teams in minor league baseball. So a lot of these guys, and I'll name a couple here in just a moment, but a lot of these guys were probably too young for the league last year, and they struggled a lot because of it. But now they have an extra year of development. And let me use one example of someone who I think is going to have a breakthrough year. It's catcher Omar Hernandez. Hernandez out of Cuba last year was 19 years old. The average age of someone in the league is 23. So imagine your kid just finishes high school and they got to go play Jack Leiter, right? Like, they're probably not going to succeed against the Vandy products. But now Omar Hernandez has seen that type of pitching. He's got one more year of experience under his belt. He's coming in at age 20, and he caught 58 games last year for the Columbia Fireflies. So I think he's going to return to the form that he saw back in 2019 prior to the pandemic. He was hitting 290 for the ACL Royals. So a guy that really has a good bat. Last year he hit 175, but just was experiencing so much after a year off, so much talent that he had never really been exposed to prior to last season. And Omar Hernandez is just one example. Darryl Collins last year gave the Fireflies some of their most exciting moments of the season. Collins hit the only walk-off home run in Columbia Fireflies history. Opening day on April 8th will begin the 6th season of Fireflies baseball, right? And Darryl Collins was 19 last year. So another kid who's going to be 20 years old, and getting to see the league for a second time, getting to see that higher level of pitching where guys have 2 or 3 pitches working for them, as opposed to, hey, they've either got the heater, or they've got the slider, or they got the curve, but they don't have multiple pitches. So you can look out for the one that's going to beat you.
Shedding a little light on the Columbia Fireflies as they get ready to open the brand new season this weekend right here on Sports Talk. John Costas with us here tonight, the voice of the Columbia Fireflies. He'll be with us each and every Monday talking some minor league baseball. And John, dovetailing off a comment that Phil made a few moments ago about whether or not your players that are at single A are excited about being there. How difficult, though, on the flip side, is it for your front office and manager Tony Pena Jr. to have a roster set up and then some players who play well that ultimately move up to AA, single A, or triple A, and then obviously their goal is to get to Major League Baseball. How difficult is it to manage a roster that you know could change on a moment's notice?
It's definitely difficult. I remember a couple of times last year when Brooks Conrad was at the helm for the Fireflies that, he had a lineup put together at 10 a.m. And you know how it works. A guy could get injured in Kansas City, or a guy in Omaha could have to sit out because he's tired or something. And if there's a roster move associated, those guys get pulled up from then Northwest Arkansas or Quad City, and eventually it goes all the way down here to Columbia where that domino ends up falling. So it could be something that has nothing to do with what happened with your team or their performance, but it could affect your roster during the day of a game. And what that ultimately sometimes leads to is you're going to end up scratching the left-hander out of the bullpen for that night because he's got to pitch tomorrow at a higher level. So it makes it a little bit of an added challenge, something that the guys in the big leagues really don't have to worry about, right? Ron Washington with the Atlanta Braves third base coach during that World Series run in 1998 was the manager of the Capital City Bombers, which is the same level that the Columbia Fireflies are, right? Well, when Ron Washington was managing the Capital City Bombers, he had to worry about that. Now that he's in Atlanta, if it's not affecting the Atlanta Braves on a day-in, day-out basis, he probably doesn't have to worry about it.
He doesn't care. All right, give us an idea as to what we've got in store for this weekend. Opening night is on Friday against Augusta, the Green Jackets in town. Perfect timing with the Masters set for this weekend as well. Augusta getting out of town, obviously, with the Masters set to take place over the weekend. But what do you guys have planned for opening weekend?
Yeah, well, first we've got a form of Braves baseball. So if you can't make it all the way to Atlanta to watch the Braves this weekend, you can still come in the Midlands and you can watch some Braves baseball. Secondly, and more importantly for people with younger kids who really like the excitement of fireworks, we've got a lot of fireworks, right? Friday night and Saturday night, both going to be fireworks nights here at Segra Park. And then on Sunday after the game, we're going to have kids run the bases for free. And prior to the game, we're actually going to have an autograph session. Two of the Fireflies players will be signing autographs for some of the members of our kids club and some other kids who are 12 and under at the ballpark. So we've got a lot of really exciting stuff. We're going to have a royal celebration where the players will wear those classic powder blue jerseys. But all in all, just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, an action-packed, promo-packed weekend to usher these new guys into town.
Well, hopefully the weather's going to be good. I know you'll have big crowds starting this weekend. Folks want to get out and enjoy some professional baseball. We thank you as always. We look forward to having you with us every Monday night, and we'll have some games to talk about starting next Monday night, and we'll see how this team does. John, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Phil and Chris.
Talk to you next week.
John.
John Casas, voice of the Columbia Fireflies, and looking forward to the minor league season. They've redone a lot of stuff in minor league baseball, and a lot of fun to go out there and watch a minor league baseball game for a lot of different reasons. So good luck to the Fireflies this coming season. We're going to hit the break.
Major League Baseball, Phil, quickly. Major League Baseball gets criticized sometimes for its ticket prices and everything. If you're looking for good family entertainment and want to go see some baseball, and if the game's not all that important, you just want to have some fun, I can't think of a better way to spend a Friday night or a Saturday night than out at a minor league ballpark.
Oh, yeah. It's a hoot. And we got great minor league teams around the state of South Carolina. The Fireflies are coming on. As he mentioned, this is year 6 of their organization. You got Charleston strong, Greenville strong. Team over in Augusta is strong. Got a lot of good organizations in the state of South Carolina. We're going to come back and hit the recruiting report here on Sports Talk. Maybe squeeze in a final comment from Dawn Staley as well. Time permitting on this very busy edition of Sports Talk on this Monday. Tomorrow night, Shane Beamer, who'll be meeting with the media tomorrow, will be our first chance to hear from him about how the scrimmage went on Saturday. Nobody's had any news of anything bad that happened, so that's good, I guess. We'll find out more tomorrow. Bring that to you tomorrow night. Back in a moment.
The countdown is on, and Columbia Fireflies baseball is right around the corner. Join us at Seger Park for Fireflies opening night Friday, April 8th at 7:05 p.m. as the Fireflies battle in-state rival Atlanta Braves affiliate, the Augusta Green Jackets. Make sure to stick around after the game for a fireworks spectacular. Fireflies opening weekend continues Saturday, April 9th with our royal celebration and another post-game fireworks show. Bring the whole family for Sunday Fun Day where kids can run the bases after the game. Tickets start at just $5. Visit FirefliesTickets.com to get your tickets today.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Losses, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dream. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to FutureScholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. FutureScholar.com.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Founders Federal Credit Union knows your life is busy and your money is important. We are proud to offer local personalized services and convenient online services like Founders Online and the Founders app. You'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax, win with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Time for the recruiting report here on Sports Talk, brought to you by the great folks over at Seawells. I am going to Seawells tomorrow for lunch. I have a lunch engagement tomorrow.
Rub it in.
At Seawells.
Just rub it in.
I'm hoping that the roast beef will be moved up on the agenda to early in the week, like Tuesday.
RBT? Okay.
Tuesday. Yeah. Roast beef Tuesday would be fine. But anything they have will be fine. You can get out tomorrow for the daily luncheon buffet. It's 11 till 2. It's only $12. The menus are on their website, and the food is absolutely delicious. Hey, if you're going back and forth to Augusta, great place to stop on your way out of town is over at Seawells. And, of course, the very best in the catering business, the Seawells family and staff, they can handle all your planning and your catering needs at their facility, 1125 Rosewood Drive, or they'll come to your venue. Their phone number is 803-771-7385. So, if you weren't with us earlier, Ridgeview coach Yerrick Stoneman tells us Gigi Jackson will stay in the 23 class and not reclassify. Stoneman has no firm date from Jackson on an announcement. One is expected in the next week or so. He said they are planning a formal announcement event at the school. Stoneman said Jackson wants to make his decision now so he can focus on his AAU season. Of course, coaches aren't able to see Jackson until the dead period ends April the 7th. Thus, new USC coach Lamont Paris has not yet met with Jackson and his mother. As you know, he's met with Jackson and his father did so a week ago. So we'll see what happens there. Still the same schools are involved. And the fact that he's going to stay in the 23 class, is that a good sign for South Carolina? Or,
it's got to be, right?
Well, or is it a good sign for Duke? Because Duke didn't want to take him in the 22 class. They wanted him to wait till 23. So we shall
Caro
see.
can go away?
Yes.
Is that the reason?
And I think they have used up, maybe they've used up their allotted spots at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, to some other news. 2 of the 5 USC scholarship players who are in the transfer portal announced their destinations yesterday. Eric Stevenson is headed to West Virginia, and forward Taquan Woodley is going to follow Frank Martin to UMass. Can't get enough of Frank Martin. So he is heading up there. Of course, Martin offered Jackson, Gigi Jackson, over the weekend. I don't think it's going to have any real impact on his thinking, even though they were pretty tight and pretty close. I don't think that Jackson would go way up to Massachusetts to play, but I can't speak for them. I'm just kind of drawing my own conclusion there. Former USC guard, Hartsville High guard Trey Hannibal is going to LSU. He was on that team at Murray State, going to follow his coach to LSU. Football, Clemson quarterback target Christopher Vizina was at Clemson today. He earned an invitation to the Elite 11 finals in Los Angeles this summer over the weekend. He also made recent visits to Auburn, Ohio State, and Ole Miss. Clemson running back target Justin Haynes was at Alabama over the weekend. Clemson and USC target tight end Reed McCaska was at Florida. Clemson target receiver Tyler Williams was at Florida. He also picked up an offer from Maryland. USC target defensive tackle Xavier McLeod of Camden was at Florida State and Florida over the weekend. And he plans to announce his top 10 this coming Saturday. USC target defensive back Jeremiah Anglin visited Florida over the weekend. USC target cornerback R.J. Johnson was at Auburn today. USC and Clemson target defensive tackle Jordan Hall was offered by LSU. Chapin offensive tackle Chase Swigert accepted a PWO offer from USC. That could be a very good pickup for South Carolina down the road. Linebacker Josiah Trotter of Philadelphia, who has Clemson USC on his short list, plans to announce his commitment April 15th. The others on the list, Virginia Tech, Penn State, West Virginia. Offensive tackle Sullivan Absher of Belmont, North Carolina, named a final three of Clemson, Notre Dame, and NC State. Linebacker Amir Campbell, Manassas, Virginia, was at Clemson on Friday. USC offered 6'2 receiver Cordell Russell of Mesquite, Texas. And USC Clemson target defensive tackle Jordan Hall was also at Miami on Friday. 2024 receiver Mazio Bennett of Greenville offered by Georgia over the weekend. USC baseball got a commitment from 2024 shortstop Tyler June of Lawrence Manning. Offensive tackle Lance Williams of Alcoa, Tennessee, who had a USC offer, committed to Virginia Tech. Defensive tackle Devon Houston of Hagerstown, Maryland, was at USC over the weekend. Also at USC over the weekend was 2024 offensive tackle Jake Guanera of Ponte Vedra, Florida. I think South Carolina's working their way in a pretty good spot there with him. 6'5" Will Richard, who's a transfer basketball player from Belmont, has South Carolina and Clemson among the schools showing him interest. He averaged 12 points and 6 rebounds per game this season. He's the son of former Clemson defensive end Al Richard. Both of his parents went to Clemson. So the Tigers are showing interest, and the Gamecocks have reached out to him and showing interest as well. And then the other, of course, big story from the weekend of recruiting was South Carolina getting the commitment from Corey Rutger. He announced it on Saturday. Decided not to wait until his visit to USC with his mother for the spring game. 6'1", 190, transfer from Arkansas State, native of Mississippi, Utah State, Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas State. Some of the others he looked at after entering the transfer portal after 2 seasons in Jonesboro. Made his official visit to USC with his father last month and is coming back for the spring game. Was, of course, very impressed, blown away by what he saw at USC on his visit. Freshman All-American last season at Arkansas State. In 2 seasons there, he caught 75 passes for 1,279 yards and 14 touchdowns. There you go with the recruiting report here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells.
Quick question. Have we heard anything about Willens Levesque? I know Taekwon Woodley has committed to UMass, and I guess the consensus was Levesque was going to follow Frank Martin up back to his home states, but I haven't seen anything from him yet.
Have not.
Yeah.
Woodley and Stevenson are the only 2 that we've seen so far. And you know what else we haven't heard anything from is Bryant hasn't announced what he's going to do. Keyshawn Bryant.
Devin Carter either.
Well, no. I mean, as far as
what they're going to do.
Bryant is still he hadn't put his name in the portal yet. Now, Carter has. That's what I was talking about. So, all right, who's your pick tonight?
Kansas.
Yeah, I got to go with Kansas, too. They look really, really good. Of course, maybe
They're
Villanova wasn't at their best because they were missing one of their best players. But I got to believe there's got to be some hangover Plus,
no question.
Baycott, you don't know how effective he's going to be. Got to be some hangover for North Carolina tonight, don't you think?
I would agree.
Yeah.
I don't see how they can maintain that level of intensity, and I like the two big guys for Kansas a whole lot better.
Everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Have a great night. We'll pick it back up tomorrow. See you then.
The point. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fire